All right, let's talk about vicious cycles a little bit and how we can resolve them or escape them. So, I'm going to provide a few examples here. Okay, the first example I've used before and on this channel. So, imagine that your TV breaks, okay, and you look up at the roof, and the roof's leaking. Okay, the roof leaked onto your TV, and the TV broke. You wouldn't go to the store and buy another TV and put that TV right where the old one was without fixing the roof first, right? Because your new TV would just break the next time it rains, right? Likewise, you also wouldn't fix the drywall before you fixed the shingles on the roof, right? You wouldn't fix the insulation and the plywood before you fix the shingles, because then again, the next time it rains, it's just going to ruin all of that again. So we kind of want to reverse engineer the problem that caused your TV to break, and we want to fix it in the correct order. So we're going to fix the shingles first, so the rain stops coming through. We're going to fix the shingles and the plywood. Then we're going to fix the insulation and then the drywall, and then we'll put that new TV in, right? We don't even want to put that TV in before we fix the drywall. You're going to get drywall mud all over the TV. Okay, now if you were to not notice the leak in the roof, then what might happen is you might get stuck in a vicious cycle of buying new TVs every time it rains, and you might never figure out what the hell's going on. You might get a little frustrated, right? This is a vicious cycle. You're not solving the cause of the problem, that is the hole in the roof, and you're just continuing to treat the symptoms of the original problem, which is that broken TV that breaks every time it rains. Now, most likely, you're going to notice the hole in the roof, and you're not going to get caught in this particular vicious cycle, right? This is a pretty simple problem, and because it's simple, it's easy to identify the cause, the original cause. So, for another example, let's imagine that there's a forest fire, and you trace it back, and you find out that somebody was out there camping, and they lit a match and they started the fire. We can blame the person who lit the match, right? Or, we could go back farther into the chain of events, right? Who manufactured the match? Who invented the match? And you could even go as far back as to say, who made or what made the forest flammable in the first place? All of these things technically are in they're in the chain of cause and effect that caused the forest fire to start. But because we don't want to punish the person who invented the match, we don't want to punish the person who manufactured the match, we're going to kind of put the blame on the person who lit the match, right? And likewise, we can't necessarily make the forest unflammable. So again, we kind of do what we can in this scenario, and we identify the cause. It is the person who lit the match, right? But let's provide another example. Okay, so those first two examples were pretty simple. It was pretty easy to identify the most addressable cause in those chains of events. But let's imagine instead that you are obese. Okay, obesity is rising in most first world countries. We could identify several causes for this. Okay, one such cause is, obviously overeating causes obesity, right? But why are people being driven to overeat? Well, maybe it's stress. Maybe people are stressed out. Maybe it's economic stress, right? So we could say that economic stress causes people to emotionally eat and then to eventually become obese. And we could then say that, well, let's address the economic stress. How do you do that? Well, maybe you increase welfare programs. Maybe you try to individually find a better job. But let's say you're overeating, and before long, you start having health problems, and you go to the hospital rather, and you come home, you got a bunch of healthcare bills. Well, the original obesity that was caused by your economic stress has now caused health concerns, and now you are have to pay all these healthcare bills, and now you have more economic stress. This is a vicious cycle. because we never addressed the original economic stress, we have now caused more economic stress, right? Let's fast forward a little farther into this vicious cycle. Now, we have an entire food industry who is creating foods, profiteering off of people's emotional stress eating habits, right? Well, before long, COVID hits, supply chains get a little disrupted, and now the prices of fast food are inflating even faster, right? So we have now more economic stress due to the rising prices of the processed foods we're buying, and all of this perhaps started due to the original economic stress. So in this case, it might be logical to think, okay, we need to address the economic stress, right? So what do? Well, maybe we try to get a better job. But again, we already have all this downstream stress affecting us. We already have all these healthcare bills. We already have the poor health, right? So maybe it's harder to perform in such a manner that allows us to get that better job. So maybe we fail to do that because of all that downstream stress. So what do we do here in this scenario? We're stuck in this vicious cycle, and the downstream effects of the vicious cycle are coming back to bite us in the ass when we try to solve the upstream effects, right? So what we have to do is we have to claim agency over the entire vicious cycle at the same time. And what that means is you need to improve your economic conditions, but you can't put all of your effort into the economic conditions. You also have to put some of your effort into improving your diet. You also have to put some of your effort into, well, maybe some of your effort goes into finding a better job. Maybe some of your effort goes into spending less on material goods to improve your economic conditions in a different way. Maybe some of your effort goes into buying less processed food and making fresh meals at home, right? We have to address every event in this vicious cycle at the same time. Now, that's not to say you go from 0 to 100. That's not to say you quit processed food cold shoulder. It's not to say you quit material goods cold shoulder. What you need to do instead is you need to make small, sustainable changes. But again, you have to kind of fire on all cylinders. But again, you're not pushing that pedal to the floor. You are just starting off slow, starting at idle, and then speeding up, right? Maybe your obesity has it's made it harder for you to exercise. Go start taking a walk every day, right? Just take a quarter-mile walk to start with, right? Add some healthy food to your diet. Don't even think about necessarily getting rid of the processed food. Just start adding healthy food. And over time, as you increase these good habits, what's going to happen is those vicious cycles, they're going to turn into benevolent cycles. At a certain point, you're going to kind of pass a threshold where your diet is no longer considered unhealthy. It's actually considered healthy. Your economic stress is going to diminish to the point where, we're saving money at this point. We're actually contributing to a bank account rather than being in debt all the time. But the thing is, again, if we only try to address the original cause in this vicious cycle, we are going to be hindered by all of those downstream effects, by whether it's that food industry that is profiteering from our emotional eating habits, or whether it is our lack of ability to exercise, whether it's the stress caused by the healthcare bills. Again, we have to think about how vicious cycles work. The logic of them is that sometimes the downstream effects make it harder for us to address the upstream effects. So we have to address it all at the same time. Again, as I said, you want to fire on all cylinders, but you don't want to push the pedal all the way to the floor. Okay, it can be hard to do this. It can be hard to make this lifestyle change, and then that's why I said you have to make sustainable, slow changes. And once you get some momentum going, it's interesting what happens. You almost turn into like a powerhouse of good habits. Again, those vicious cycles turn into benevolent cycles, and you kind of move out of a victim mindset and into a self-empowered mindset. And that this video is kind of running off of my previous videos. Kind of came up with these thoughts thinking about that video. But again, slow, sustainable changes, and this obesity example is just one example. This could apply to anything in your life. Maybe you have an addiction that isn't food. Maybe you have a drug addiction. Maybe you have a gambling addiction. Whatever it is, address it by addressing all of you have to kind of re-engineer the problem, the cause and effect, the vicious cycle. You have to address the entire vicious cycle. You have to take agency over the entire thing at the same time. And when you do that, again, you'll find you are able to exert your free will more effectively. So thanks for watching.